Okay, Kate, this is an honest question. I really don't know what episode this is. What episode is it?
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what it is?
409.
Is it 409?
Yep, you got it.
All right, there you go.
409.
Well, I hope everyone had a great Christmas. We had a great Christmas a couple days ago, right?
We sure did, and we are actually cold here for once in Southern California.
Well, cold is relative
term.
because our guest today, Tony Pantalleresco, is up in Canada where the high is probably negative 30. Our high is our low is in the high 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean that's respectable, right? I mean it's not like you're a little child and complaining about the cold.
Right. I kind of like it. It's invigorating.
Yeah, I had to get in the sauna today just before the show in order just to get my hands from.
Aren't we funny? Us
Yeah.
Vata types, we probably couldn't live where Tony's living or
Oh,
or
man.
anywhere else.
Anywhere colder than
We're very
this.
blessed.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, I've been dealing with a little bit of a cold or a little bit of a throat sickness, or I don't know what you want to call it, because I feel fine, but my throat's a little bit messed up. So maybe after the end of the show, I can talk about what I've been doing. And I think what I've been doing has been helping a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can talk to Tony about some of the things that he would do if he had a cold. But anyway, this is episode 409, right? This is a special Monday show, and if you guys would like to join us every Friday morning, we do broadcast live every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time at extremehealthradio.com/live. And let's see, what else is going on here? Anything else to say?
We're getting ready for the new year.
Anything
Bunch
else
of new
to cover?
stuff coming up, new projects, new schedules.
Lots of new stuff.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, people have been asking where have we been, and we've been working a lot behind the scenes to bring a lot of stuff to people. So stay tuned for that.
Right on.
So today we got Mr. Tony Pantalleresco on, and we have had quite a few requests for him. And he is just a guy who knows a lot about health, he says, and which is good because you don't really want the labels. I don't know. The labels could get you in trouble. And he knows all about that. So for a lot of people requesting Mr. Tony Pantalleresco, thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So glad.
Right now, our weather is what your weather is because of the geoengineering of the weather. I live in Windsor, Ontario, and if you were to draw a line across the United States and Canada, I'd be right where Northern California and Oregon meet. And so we're in the hottest spot of Canada and sunniest spot actually. And so right now the weather, because I deal with a lot of people from California with health issues. Seems to be the four major spots I deal with are California, Texas, Florida, New York, and then the Midwest like Utah and Iowa. So again, we're always comparing weather, and there's been no change. Our weather's been geoengineered, and so we've had your weather and our weather has been about the same. You know, it's been probably damp and cool there where you are as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Today we're supposed to go into a different change, snow, sleet, and whatnot. But here the winters are milder by comparison to say Calgary, Alberta, where it can get down to minus 50 on the Celsius scale, which is like minus 60 on the Fahrenheit scale. So there it can be a bit brutal.
Isn't there a weather modification system, that HARP thing? Isn't there something up there near Canada?
We got 7 of them in Canada.
Oh.
7 of them in Canada.
Yeah, we got 7 of them in Canada. I found this out on this administration for the election. Our prime minister challenged the Russians on a territorial claim. And I kept thinking to myself, how in the heck are we challenging the Russians? All we have is 2 tugboats and a canoe for a navy. Then, Canada is a military country, militaristic country. It's just not it's not well publicized. And anyway, I found out about 2 or 3 days after he made that issuance there that we had 7 HARP installations, which basically if you target another country's weather, you can pretty well cripple them. So it's probably next to nanotechnology and HARP. These are technologies that are so extremely dangerous and alarmingly dangerous. A lot of people aren't fully grasping the scope of when you see that line in the sky, how it can drop a biological agent or a nanobiological agent, and you get inflicted with these things. How it can alter the climate, how it can alter the agricultural chemistry that's required for certain heat or chemicals in the soil to react. aquatic life, bird life, things of this nature.
Tony, what do you mean by the line in the sky? You're talking about chemtrails? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because a lot of people, I mean, there are still some people today that are still with this concept that all is a jet exhaust, and there's been actually U.S. government sites, NASA sites in the last few weeks actually validating the experimentation. This has been going on since 1945. It was called CHAP at the time. When they started the whole weather control experiments, and as time has gone on, I mean, these lines in the sky, you got two types, the one that are really high flying, one low. You see the low flying one, be prepared to see a lot of people get sick, usually with respiratory issues or allergy-like symptoms. If they're high flying, that's when you start seeing the weather changing or getting altered. You can kind of tell when they're doing something, all of a sudden you have this overwhelming heaviness come over you. You feel lethargic. Your brain isn't fully functioning. You're there, but you're not there. You feel kind of exhausted because the magnetic field in the atmosphere is being altered or bending or being shifted. So when that happens, our brains do as well. So whenever you see a shift in the weather where all of a sudden you've gone from one extreme to another, and in that shift or in that change, you feel extremely out of it, or you can't seem to connect the dots in your head, or you're just feeling like really you could take a nap kind of thing. That's why.
So what about the people that say, there's a lot of people that say, well, those chemtrails are, the reason why that stuff is flying out of the plane. I find it to be just hilarious, but people will say like, well, it's because the plane is changing altitude, and that changes, Well,
like I said, and they need to get caught up. Reality check. In other words, get your head out of your backside, get some fresh air into you. Like I said, NASA's come right out and has admitted it. And I've got the white paper on it by the American government. As a matter of fact, the American government was talking about it back in the 80s in regard to getting a antidote and a way to clear it out of the people who were working with these things, because they knew the level of toxicity of these chemicals. So, I mean, the information's been there. It's out there. I've got all kinds of information on it where like I said, the government was actually looking at antidotes. So there is an antidote to a lot of these issues as well. Our food supply, for instance, I've been telling people now not to eat cherries, peaches, or any berries. If you're going to eat any fruit today, apples and pears, you got to take off at least 1/8 of an inch off the top. If you look under a scope, you'll see that these things are loaded with nano dust all over them. Your citrus fruits you can peel, your kiwis, pineapples, persimmons, but you've got to peel everything these days you can't eat. And if you're going to use these berries, you have to juice them and then add an oil to the juice, blend them very lightly for about 2 minutes, let the oil and the water separate, and what that'll do is that'll collect the nanoparticles that are in the juices, and then when you pour it out, then you're nanoparticle free.
That's interesting. So, I wanted to ask you about on this line of reasoning here. We just posted something to our Facebook page. It was a video of a girl that was cleaning off her organic apple, and there's that wax even on the organic apples. And, what she had to do was she poured boiling water over the top of it, and you can see all the wax in the water.
Won't do anything. That wax is just sealing the nano. There is no such thing as organic. That is such a joke and has been for the last 25 years. They've been spraying glyphosates and everything else on the organics, just like the normal stuff. The runoff, like from the atrazines and other things that are getting into the water supply are reaching the organics. The Italians did a research on the chemtrails called "Chemtrails: A Secret War." If you haven't watched it, you should.
Ooh.
And they talk about how the so-called organics are being sprayed. They have 23 of the chemicals from the chemtrails on the organics. It's virtually impossible to have an organic anything anymore. When you're pouring the wax off, that's fine and dandy, but you're taking the wax off. But nanoparticles between 1 and 50 nanometers penetrate everything. They penetrate your skin, they penetrate your hair, they penetrate your clothing. Unless you're wearing Tyvek material, you are getting penetrated and you're absorbing the stuff through almost every venue you can imagine.
What kind of material was that?
Tyvek?
Tyvek, yeah. It's a material, it's sort of like It's a polyethylene material, and they use it sometimes in housing insulation.
Okay.
But when in the lab, when they're working on nanotechnology, they have to wear this because it's one of the few things that will stop the penetration up to between 125 and 300 nanometers will stop it from going through.
Wow.
I mean, the process of dealing with nano, I just put two new links up on the site, on my site, on the whole concept of nanotechnology. One's called Nanotech Safety Guidelines, and the other one is an environmental one. And when you look at this, I've actually put illustrations in there where the nanotech can get into your skin, into your myelin sheet, mitochondria, into your brain. In one study, which I had theorized anyway, it just seems to stand to reason, but then there was an actual study that validated my hypothesis that the nanoparticles are getting into the brains of the fetuses. There was a rat study done where after the rats were born, 4 weeks after they were born, that the nanoparticles they had injected into the mice and rats had in fact gone up into the brain of the mice that were born. And this would explain a lot of reasons why the autism issue is going on, between the glyphosate stripping the colon of the vital nutrients that are required for brain development, like copper and zinc and iodine, boron. And then the final coup would be to inject a nano delivery vaccine, which then the nanoparticles again would go into the brain and cause a severe neural damage, because once it gets into the brain, it doesn't just sit there, it actually penetrates right into the very core of the genetic code.
So it's actually able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier then? The brain.
Easily. Very easily.
Yeah.
Our bodies are not designed to be using any form of nanotech at all. All this crap they're selling in the health food industry, they call it colloidal silver. 99% of the colloidals that are being sold today are all nano, and they're extremely dangerous. The nanoparticles do not react the same way as a base metal. In fact, if you have a base metal that's toxic, when you nanosize it, you may as well magnify the amplitude of the toxicity up to like 1,000. You're taking nano iodine, nano gold, monatomic gold, which is another name for nano gold, nano silver, nano copper, nano zinc. I've got again other information on there where it actually shows you how it literally destroys the tissues and the cells, wipes out the mitochondria, and a lot of the tumors that they're pulling out of people today are loaded with metal.
So these substances aren't necessarily bad, but they're bad in the nano form?
Zinc, like if you took zinc in a base metal, like zinc oxide or zinc citrate or zinc methine, not a problem.
Oh, okay.
If you took copper in like I said, if you took even up to 30 milligrams of copper in a base form or in a colloid form, real colloid form, colloids should be in the micron levels, not in the nano level. And then there's something even worse. There's this pica, which is even smaller.
Smaller than nano?
Sorry?
Is that smaller than nano?
Oh yeah.
My goodness.
You're talking the trillions when you're talking pica. So, I mean, the thing is, what people don't realize is, because we're so used to seeing things inversely, when you're looking at a metal, or metal toxicity, you're looking at it as like a base metal. So you got this big, and you're imagining in your body, you got this big chunk of metal in your system that's poisoning your body. Now, if you want to take it, simplest analogy would be, okay, if you get garlic powder and garlic chunks that you chop up, now the chunks would be your micron, which when you consume, your body can utilize very easily. Now, if you take the same, let's say you take a teaspoon of the chunked garlic and you take a teaspoon of the powdered garlic would overwhelm you because of the nature of the concentration of the powder and of the garlic in that teaspoon, because the volume would be higher and stronger. So what would happen is if you took the same amount teaspoon-wise, the garlic chunks, your body would be able to assimilate, utilize it, pass it through. Whereas with the other, you may actually get sick, nausea, because your system is completely overwhelmed. And that would be the same way what goes on a cellular level, on a mitochondrial level, on a myelin. Your myelin sheet is being totally coming undone. Because this stuff attaches itself to your network, which is what controls the signaling pathways from cell to cell. And once that comes undone, This is where a lot of inflammation gets involved. This is where a lot of people feel a lot of pain. A lot of people feel, again, they can't seem to get coordinated, or they're always feeling lethargic and tired because their body's becoming unglued from the inside out.
Oh,
well, this might be a silly question to ask, Tony, but how long has this been going on?
Since 1945.
That's when it started.
It's been exponentially increased probably in the last 15 years. People are waking up on this. I got people contacting me. I just had a lady from Serbia contact me last night, send me pictures of the particulates extruding from her feet.
What?
I've had people in Croatia contact me. I've had people in Germany. I've had people in the United Kingdom, France, across the United States, across Canada, down to South America, Australia, New Zealand. So this is not a national issue. This is a global issue, because what you're dealing with here is a technology that can self-assemble inside of you and self-replicate. And the self-replication is perpetual unless there's been a program induced into these things to stop them from perpetuating.
Okay, Tony,
I'll throw something at you real quick. At nighttime, when you wake up, how many times you wake up feeling you got cramps going on, or you're feeling achy and painful?
Uh-huh.
Okay, a lot of times what's happening is at nighttime between 3 and 3:30 in the morning, the heart frequencies are up, your smart meters are being activated, and what's happening is you're getting an RF or magnetic pulse going through the house, which is causing a microwave activity, and when it hits the nano, what happens there is the nano gets turned on, gets activated, and what happens is the nanoparticles then cause the cells to flush out their fluids. As they flush out the fluids, the nanoparticles get closer together, and as they get closer together, the conductivity of these things can increase exponentially. At 0.35 nanometers, the increase of power is 43 times, and they transfer heat 10 times faster. So what happens is your cells are literally being burned out. The proteins are then being used as raw building material for these things to continually to self-assemble in the person's body. And so what happens is you wake up and all of a sudden you got leg cramps, your back is killing you, your hips are sore, you're feeling all achy along the spine, you're feeling all achy along the chest cavity, whatever. You might have headaches, and this is the reason why.
Okay, so Tony, I got to ask you a couple questions here. With the nanoparticle size, what you were just talking about in terms of how they relate to the RF frequencies and the smart meters and things like that. So the nanometers are coming from chemtrails, and are they heavy metals?
And your food.
Oh, and
your
the food. Okay. So are they...
Like I said, there's no such thing as organic. That whole... Even the aquatic life is being loaded with it. When you sit there and think about this, just for a quick second, guy goes to a doctor, he gets a prescription. Guy goes to a health food store, he buys a product. They've got a nano delivery system. They're doing that now in the health food store to sell this nano delivery, which is a lot of horse hockey. What happens is now they sooner or later they got to go to the washroom, so they flush the toilet into the water system. It goes into the filtration system, and the filtration system can't even stop it. This was going on with the microbeads years ago, and women were buying cosmetics that had these microbeads, which when they put it on the skin, made their skin look like it was nice and smooth and all looking like a Hollywood Barbie doll look kind of thing.
What is that? A microbead?
Microbeads.
They exceeded the microbeads. They went right through the filtration system. This is why only water I tell people to drink is distilled or reverse osmosis, because that's the only two that will filter out about 90 to 95% of the nano or some of the contaminants that are going on.
So the nano, I just want to make it clear for people, the nano is in relation to size, right? And anything can be nanized, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. If you anything that's in a nano scale, we don't respond well to it. I mean, there are some things in nature that are in nano. For instance, milk is a product that does have nano components to it, but it's bound with things so that it doesn't cause a problem. Even if I took protein and took it and turned it into a nano delivery, it's going to cause problems on the liver. It'll overload the kidneys. It can basically fry you out. So, and that's what this is doing. Basically, from the understanding I'm getting on this stuff, we technically are not dying. We are basically being burned out and burned off. That's what's actually going on.
Hey, Tony, can we, it sounds like you're cutting up a little bit. Is it okay if we call you right back so that we can get a better line? Because you're kind of cutting out just a little bit.
I'm cutting out. You're still cutting out?
I don't know. It's kind of
It
weird.
might be a bit better.
Yeah, I want to make sure that everyone can hear everything you're saying. Yeah, let's just continue for a couple seconds. But sorry about that. But it was just that
Connection got screwy.
The connection got screwy a little bit.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot lately, especially when like I said, we start talking about these topics.
We've had that happen a lot too.
We have had it happen.
We've had lines dropped. It's been crazy.
Yeah, that's to be, like I said, that's to be expected. You know, I wish we had another VoIP to deal with instead of Skype, because again, it is a monitored system, and again, anytime you get into anything that's of this radical or this alternatives, that's out there. And you start waking people up with facts, you always get this, eh?
That's true. Hey, I wanted to ask you, David Wolf talks a lot about nanobacteria and calcium-forming organisms and things like this. And he was talking about how nanobacteria is one of the main causes of calcification and inflammation and fibrosis, and what eventually takes down all mammals. Is that true?
No, I disagree. He's nuts. Majority of the stuff that guy talks about, I'd have to say, is out there, out to lunch, most of it. I don't have don't put a whole lot of stock in what he says. As a matter of fact, I rarely ever listen to him because I find him and some of the other ones out there today are just FOS. Yeah. So, when you're looking at Nano, I've got about 6 links on my website. I think I even sent you guys a page.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you actually look at Nano, what's happening is 9 out of 10 people are being misdiagnosed with Lyme. They do not have Lyme. We even did a video on Nano where we showed you where a nanoparticle actually looked like a Lyme. And it isn't a Lyme. If you have Lyme disease, basically, if you run an electrical charge or a zapping device in your system, within about 2 weeks, you should have taken out any form of Lyme in your body.
Say that again.
If you really have Lyme, you really have Lyme. If you run a zapping device, any kind of electrical device through your body, an electrical impulse through your body, small impulse, and you run it regularly, within about 2 weeks, you should knock it out.
Wow.
But what's happening is if you run an electrical impulse and all of a sudden you start seeing geometrical patterns forming on the skin or lesions starting to form, what you've got is nanopoisoning. Okay, they call it Morgellons, which has been another pile of rubbish as far as the labeling of this condition. It's not a pathological condition at all. The pathologies that are coming from this are secondary. Okay, if I take copper out of your body, if I take zinc out of your body, if I take iodine out of your body, you are now open to algae infections, mold infections, parasitical infections, microbial infections, fungal, bacterial. So when you're looking at what he's saying, again, like I said, he's not versed enough in this to know what he's talking about. When I strip that out of your body through glyphosate poisoning, because that's how it's coming down, you're being stripped out with all these things from glyphosates. What happens is that when you get exposed to any kind of nanotechnology, it just starts to take over because I've now suppressed your immune system. I have compromised your immune system where it's not functioning, or I've even turned it down so that you can be infected. If your gut bacteria, which gets flushed out by glyphosates, is gone, you can't even convert B12 and folic acid in the system for it to be converted for the use of the brain and other things. So when you start hearing some of these people and what they're talking about and how they're talking, you got, like I said, be careful about what you're hearing because a lot of times it's going to cost you. You're going to be reaching deep down into your pocketbook to spend a lot of money on things that just are not going to touch this, that they're selling you. We've been putting it out there for a while. We've been giving it away. We haven't sold anything in regard to, any of the techniques. We've got a whole thing called Nano Solutions on my YouTube site, on my YouTube link and my website. We show you how to make a nano bucket, which is a chamber that you design, where you put your feet in and you add vinegar and salt, and if you want to add DMSO and a little trisodium phosphate to it. Mix it up, you put it in, and you have a flashlight, and you wait about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing these things being released from the legs.
What do they look like?
They can look like anything. Metallic. They can be of metallic nature. There are quantum dots that may come out, and they could be of any color. What quantum dots are a concentration of what they call fullerenes, or a type of nano construct. And when enough of them together, they create a dot because, again, the size and the in-depth size of these things and how concentrated they are. And what they do is they change color as they move through your system. When people talk about they get feeling something creepy and crawly moving through their body, that's a quantum dot moving through the system.
Oh,
and it's taking a reading on your system. And as it goes to different sections of the body, it changes its color. And so when you see these things come out, they can be a teal color. They could look like turquoise. They could look like jasper. They could look like crystalline material. They could look like they're gold, yellow, orange, all kinds of different colors. When you see the threads coming out of people that are talking about, if you would actually magnify those threads, those aren't threads. Those are actually a construct, which will be hexagonal in shape or a six-sided shaped figure when you look at them under the scope, when you look at the actual tubing. But through a normal scope, it'll look like a little tube or a fiber or a wire. It'll look like a metallic wire because the stuff constructs the stuff inside of you.
My gosh.
So, it's, like I said, it's self-assembling. So when you're getting hit with something like this, and everybody has it, there is nobody that doesn't have this. If you're drinking the water, breathing the air, eating any food, I don't care what you're eating, you've got it. I always tell people leave all grains alone. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if it's a wheat, barley, rice, corn, quinoa, any of these things, leave them alone because the stuff feeds on carbon hugely, and it uses that as a huge building block. And majority of these things are all got glyphosates on them anyway. They're one of the most sprayed foods on the planet for glyphosates. So they will strip out anything in your system and cause you to be compromised.
Let's talk a little bit about glyphosate because it's been a hot topic recently, and a lot of people don't know what it is. But it's pretty. It's an herbicide, right?
It's more than that.
Well,
more than that.
Yeah.
It's part of the genetic alteration of the food, and what they use it for primarily is it's a surfactant and it acts as a drying agent. So when they go to harvest the crop, they can get more out of it. They're using a nano adjuvant to deliver the glyphosate, which means that you cannot wash this off. This goes right past into the cells, right into, the DNA of the plant, goes right down to the root source, gets into the soil. I've got a 60-page volume research on glyphosates on my webpage. It's there for free. You can go look at it. It's extensive. This stuff causes how it hits you. It first attacks your gut, then it attacks the endocrine system. I've got women from 19 to 50 that can't have intercourse anymore because of the fact that the way it has shut down the endocrine system from the estrogens getting down to the vaginal area, so they can't produce nitric oxide to be able to have the intercourse. Or a lot of women are having painful intercourse because of this. A lot of males in their between 20 and 24 are unable to get erected. You've got also brain dysfunctions that are going on as a result of this stuff. This stuff is more than just a pesticide. It's a form of biowarfare. Using nano delivery, again, introducing this into the plants. And there's another part of this equation that people are not looking at either. They're spraying smart dust in all the fields in order to regulate and get the inventory and the data they require on the plants.
What is smart dust?
It's a type of technology that's basically a program that's put in the field in order to take readings of the soil so they know when to water and they can tell different things about the field. It's a transceiver. And so what's happening is you've got that program mixing with chemtrails, which are programmable to self-assemble and self-replicate. And you got these two intermixing. And then when you are buying your food, you're consuming this. So again, a lot of people are not looking at this factor, or this part of the equation either. So when you're talking autism issues, for instance, the last thing you want to give a child is soy in any way, shape, or form, because of the nature of how soy is actually another depleter of about 8 or 9 minerals, and again, 4 of them are for brain development. And they got everybody on a vitamin D kick, which I find hilarious, because this is causing nothing but problems as well. And it's vitamin A everybody should be on, not vitamin D. But again, it's been, distorted and pushed very heavily. And again, I had one guy that was being prescribed 10,000 IUs, and it actually dead for about 2 minutes as a result of the overloading of vitamin D.
Tony, can you repeat that? You just cut out. I'm sorry about that.
There's a guy that we had here that was taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D.
Okay.
dropped dead for 2 minutes because of the calcification of the heart. It was increasing the calcium levels, and it just stopped his heart for 2 minutes.
Oh.
So I got him off the stuff. I don't believe that anybody should be taking anywhere between 1 and 2,000 international units of vitamin D daily, and getting it primarily from butter and coconut oil and other saturated fats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in using any fish oils because fish oils actually super oxidize the body, cause accelerated aging. Again, this was another misdirect by the so-called gurus of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the omega-3 you're using is like a walnut oil, I don't even, like, all the fish oils are contaminated. There's no such thing as a filtered fish oil.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're adding something like BHT, rosemary essential oil, or sage essential oil, or thyme,
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature, or CQ10 to slow it down or stop the oxidation process. And all you're doing when you take this stuff is basically breaking down the cellular matrix and wearing out your arterial lining.
Interesting. So for those that are listening, you may be interested. We did an interview with Professor Brian Peskin, who was saying all the same things about fish oil. So there's an interview with him on our website. But a lot of people are now waking up, Anthony, Tony, to this whole idea of fish oil, aren't they?
Well, I've known about it for 20 years, and I've been saying it for 20 years. The stuff's no good. You know, I mean, canola oil, which is another hoot being sold in the grocery stores, and the shame to fame with that one is because it's got a high level of omega-3, and then people are cooking with it.
Right.
Well, when you cook omega-3s, you basically kill them, and you turn them into more radicals. I've never got into that whole. When I was involved in the marketing of the health, when it was involved in the health industry more so, like in a lot of the bigger health stores, I tried a lot of the fish oils and the flaxseed oils, and not one of them were good. And then when I looked at some of the studies on these omega-3s, 30 out of 30 were all rancid before you even bought them. They were just garbage.
Isn't that interesting? The oil thing is a big thing. Are you familiar with the work of Dr. I think he's a doctor. I'm not sure if he's a doctor or not. Trevor Marshall down in Australia.
Not sure.
He does. He talks a lot about the same thing that you're talking about with the vitamin D in relation to Lyme disease, and he's saying the same thing about vitamin D, that people shouldn't be taking so much of it.
No, it's a lot of bullshit. The whole thing's all bullshit. Yeah, it's all. I don't know how far I can go on your show. I mean, on my show, I can pretty well say what I want.
You can say anything you like. We're on the internet, man.
Okay, all right. Well, all right, then let's go right to it. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
9 out of 10 things in the health food store today, and whatever is being marketed today, I don't care what guru is out there marketing it today, majority of it is just plain bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
The components of it now, since they went under the GMP, they're adding aluminum lake, titanium dioxide, you've got soy up the wazoo in these things, you've got polymer in these things. When you're looking at the shame fame lately, or the big was magnesium stearate. Magnesium stearate is harmless, completely harmless. The person that came out with that
you know what? Hey, Tony, is it okay if we call you back? Because you're really cutting out. I think you're saying something people don't like here. So
right.
Let us call you right back, and maybe we can get a better line, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
How funny.
That's funny. Yeah, I was trying. You know what I was trying to do? I was trying to. I'll give it a second before we call him right back. But I was trying to figure out what is he talking about at the times that it gets weird. Yeah, he was just talking about soy. I didn't remember the other times, but interesting, right? Okay, let's try.
Stuff cracks me up. He is so interesting.
I know, right?
He's a firecracker. I love him.
Oh, he's great. Let's see if we can get him back in a better context here. Tony Pantalleresco.
Or as they would have it, not get him back at all.
I know, right? They're saying, let's make it so he can't pick up his phone. A lot of people have said this, that Skype is monitored. Mm-hmm. How bizarre is that?
Who the heck is sitting here monitoring the? I mean,
are they just running software programs to catch key phrases like terrorism and stuff?
I wonder. Good night.
Isn't that wild?
Huh.
What were we talking about just before?
Soy?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's end the call.
That's crazy.
So maybe Dick Cheney says, "No, Tony, you're not going to talk." Dick Cheney.
That Tony guy knows too much about soy. Nanotechnology.
Gosh, this nano business is amazing, isn't it?
1940. So why? Why are they? Is it? Do you know his
overall
overall approach, like to what he thinks is why they're doing it?
Well, it's got to be some form of depopulation, right?
It has to be. That's what I would think he'd
You would
say,
think,
right?
Yeah. I mean, if you do depopulation programs in this way, if it's true that that's what's going on, it would make sense because they could easily lie about it and say, "Oh, it's no big deal," and hide behind the science and put out fake reports. So it would be a good way to depopulate if that's what you wanted to do. But let's see if we can.
I want to know how the heck he thinks we're supposed to live. I'm going to have to be on his site a lot more. He has so many awesome articles on there.
Well, his YouTube channel's got 1 million. I mean, he's got tons and tons of videos on YouTube too, talking about like how to. I want to get into later on in the show, like how to actually,
Apply
protect
these,
yourself.
Yeah.
Because at some point, I mean, you're just going to be unable to even live.
I know.
So you got to have some kind of answers.
Right.
And then you can't dwell on too much, I mean, it's
right.
Otherwise you're going to you're going to die of stress from fear and worry.
Right. Right.
Gosh, the government does not like Tony today, does it?
Our government or his.
Or his, right? They said,
so
Tony,
we can't get him, huh?
let's try him again. That's bizarre, right? It just says call failed.
But is it?
Well, really, is it, right?
We know that there's no snow going on, keeping him from
I know, right?
getting back on.
I have to go to the bathroom real quick. I wonder if we can get him going and then have him head to the bathroom. Head to the little boy's room.
Talking about soy.
Yeah, it's not even ringing now.
You're kidding me.
Let me
Wonder if he'll try to call us back.
try him on chat here. Tony, are you there? Yeah, he's got a ton of stuff.
He has this awesome article, it looks like, on B17.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his site's a little bit hard to navigate. I don't know where to go, really, but if you can navigate around, his YouTube channel is really cool. He's got something on his website, the smart meter in Arizona, that I kind of want to look at.
Ooh. Is the smart meter in Arizona different than the smart meter here?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe.
Huh.
Because each state has its own laws and things like that. But
speaking of that, on the next free for all, I want to talk about the crazy thing we have going on with the new water meter. Not water meter. Is it a water meter? They want to install.
Oh gosh, what is it?
It's a new. Isn't it the water?
It's a digital water meter.
Digital,
now.
Mm-hmm. And you have to pay to opt out of it. We can go into this a lot more in our.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Our next free for all, but holy moly, it's
crazy, right?
It's getting weird. So people might think this sounds all conspiratorial and blah blah blah, and people are too whatever. But then you get something like that in the mail, and
yeah. I mean, there's definitely
kind of see stuff happening, right? That's for sure. And they're making it harder to opt. I mean, you could pay a monthly, you could pay an upfront chunk and then a monthly fee not to have this thing installed. That's to give us, quote, an option right now. But pretty soon, I just don't think there's going to be a lot of options. You got to really get into the creditors and commerce stuff. I really need to spend more time. I've been through Let's do that for 2016. Yeah, I've been through their content a lot, and you really got to immerse yourself because you've got to understand the nature of contract law in order to protect yourself from these types of things. It'll change your world in terms of defending yourself from the onslaught. That's what it feels like. It is just a bunch of people like invading you all the time. Complete responsibility for your own actions and for your own house, and it's not like a lot of people think, oh, it's like the Patriot movement, but it's not like that. It's much different than that. Okay, here he goes. Oh, right on. There we go. Let's take the call. All right, Tony. We were just talking about soy, and I don't think someone liked that. Hello. Are you there? Oh, maybe they still don't like it. Maybe they still don't like it. Darn it. Yeah, that's bizarre, right? I'm going to chat to him on Skype. But yeah, look into the creditorsandcommerce.com if you're there. Oh, yes, we're here now. Can you hear us? We can hear the squeak of the chair, but hey, Tony, can you hear us? Should be on. Hello. How funny. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Are you there? Yes. Can you hear us? Okay, there he is typing. Nice. We are bound to get him back on. We will not let this prevail. Yes. So ridiculous. I know. Bizarre, right? Okay. Good thing. Can you hear us okay, Tony?
Uh-oh. We're having a
communication problem.
Communication issue.
Okay, now I can hear.
Yay!
Oh, can you? Okay, awesome.
Now we're good.
Oh my gosh.
What happened was when you guys booted out, you took me with you.
Oh, okay.
Oh no.
So I thought, what happened now? I mean, aliens are taking over.
Well, Justin was saying before when we lost touch with you that our government and yours doesn't like the topic of soy, apparently.
Yeah, well, soy, glyphosate, nanoparticles, chemtrails.
Yeah, there's a hot
pretty much
topics.
everything.
Basically, you couldn't get any more on the fringe than where we're at right now, other than we've started talking about cloning and transhumanism and alien and interdimensional beings and all the other stuff. But
Right.
If you get into that, demonic takeover and whatnot, when you get into that, then we're really in the fringe.
As if this isn't bad enough already.
Well, I mean, when you're looking at what's going on, and I'm sure you've seen this out in California, especially in California.
Mm-hmm.
Just like if I go up to Toronto, I'd see more of it there. You're looking at people walking around looking like robots, or like with the impression or the facial countenance of a robot or robotic.
Yeah.
And that's because they're basically having their brains eroded with the lithium from the atmosphere, and then they got these idiots promoting lithium in the health food industry again. This is one of these things. I have to laugh. In the last little while, I have seen fluoride now being used being portrayed as a health supplement. I'm not kidding you. Lithium, having shit shoved up your backside. This is, and I have to think, and I'm sorry for sounding so crude, but that's what's being promoted. And I have to think that the globalists who have interjected us into the health food industry must be laughing themselves silly at the stupid level that people do not have the capacity to think of what is being promoted.
Right.
And one person argued with me about how lithium had benefited people. It says lithium is burning a hole in their brain. And if it does come out, it shreds the kidneys, no matter how you mix it. It's a salt. So they're talking because you're mixing with an uratic acid, which is an acid from milk, makes it less dangerous. It makes it more promoting. So I find these, again, no brain. No brain. The reason why they banned it in the 60s is because it was causing a brain burnout. See, I'm one of these old fossil guys. I've been around for a long time in this. So I have seen the trends come and go. I've seen them resurface. I've seen them recycle. I've seen the most moronic thing I have seen in the last 15 years. It makes my head spin with the level of stupidity that is coming out in this industry. And it's all done through sabotage. All the supplement companies are more or less now being run by the drug companies, and the ones that aren't will eventually either fall or be taken over. The GMP, really what it stands for is give more poison, not good manufacturing practice, because that's what they've done. Okay, when you look at natural and artificial flavoring, people, when you ask them, what does that actually taste like? I don't know what a natural flavor tastes like. I don't know what an artificial flavor tastes like. Describe that to me. And they can't. Then when you stop and make them think about it, I said, did you know that natural and artificial flavoring could be aborted babies? Could be soy, could be beaver anus, could be a plasticizer. Do you know this? And they said, well, no. I said, well, this is why it's labeled in the way it is. You are assuming because you're buying a yellow or orange product that you're getting a citrus artificial flavor, but you really don't know what you're getting. So again, when I see these things, now again being put in we're talking now the health food industry. I'm not even talking about mainstream here. You have to sort of give your head a shake on a lot of this stuff, and you have to think what is going on here. And again, majority of the people, I got one guy in Minnesota, he thinks vitamin D is a cat's meow. And I told him the other day, you should set up an altar to this thing and bow down and call it your God, because you really think this is the cat's meow. I says, it's not all that it's cracked up to being. I says, and vitamin D is not the only thing that does what you're saying it's going to do. So, again, they're caught up on this myth and mayhem on this whole vitamin D concept, and they don't realize the reason why you're not getting the elements you're getting is because your skin is being coated with a layer of carbon nanofibers and carbon material. Now, if you get a scope, 60x scope even, and you go up and down your arm, you will see sometimes stuff glowing on your arm, a pink material, a lavender material, a bluish material, a hue of what is glowing. That's a radioactive material. That's coating your skin. You're getting, like I said, particles that are coating your skin, which are blocking your ability to absorb the full spectrum of the sun, not just one spectrum, the full spectrum. So the frequencies of the sun are not being completely taken in by the body. So when you start taking vitamin D, you're not doing yourself any favor until you get the stuff off the skin and get your body working the way it should.
So now, how do you get this stuff off your skin?
So have salt in yourself. That's what it says biblically. And salt is one of the best cleaners you could ever use. We show you, we give you a nano solution. We give you a bath to take.
Okay.
And what you're using is baking soda, trisodium phosphate, borax, and Epsom salt. And you can add a little turpentine, like a cap, not a cup, cap full of turpentine or an essential oil. And you mix it in there with it. Make sure it's mixed well. And then you sit in there for a half hour. And you will be surprised if Elvis doesn't come out of your pores. You know, that's how much stuff will come out of you.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
You're a woman.
Yeah.
You sound like a woman.
I hope.
I hope too.
Or half alien. I don't know.
Last time you checked. Okay. All right. Because you've got a layer of fat, your breasts are mostly fat. Your hips, your backside, your around your legs, because this is where you're designed anatomically. You will collect more. But the fat is actually protects you as well. So it's like where males are mostly muscle. Unless they've been drinking a lot of beer and eating a lot of soy, then they've got the feminine fat going on with them.
Right.
You'll find that when the stuff comes out, you'll see it coming out a lot too. And don't be surprised what comes out and how much. You may see what looks like hair-like materials, but it's not your hair. Those are literally carbon nanofibers or carbon nanotubes that have come out of your skin.
Gosh.
You may see like a plastic flat piece come out. There was a gal in California, in the LA area, contacted me, and she sent me a picture of a bath she took with the solution, and what came out of her was incredible.
Really?
She had fibers, she had plasticizers, she had particulates. The tub was black. Well, you guys are the heaviest chemtrail state in the union. Then it's Arizona. I was down in Phoenix 8 years ago. That's how I acquired this nano poisoning when I was down there. And every day when you opened the door and you looked up in the sky, all you saw was layer upon layer upon layer of lines. And when you walked down the street, the doves were dead on the road. The bees were dead on the road. The palm trees were completely rustic. I mean, it was something, and the health issues that people were dealing with down there because of the heat. And then they were told to drink 8 cups of water a day, and I was only drinking 1. Everyone said, "Oh, you're not drinking enough water." It says, "You see me? I don't have sore feet, sore knees, sore hips, sore anything." Yeah. So you're flushing everything out the door. You need the potassium and everything to stay inside of you. And they had a soft drink down there, a pop called Misty. I don't know if they still have it.
Misty.
I was blown. Yeah, it was like a 7-Up, a clear base pop.
Interesting.
Okay.
And I looked at this thing and I was blown away by it. So I bought it. And then what I did was it had EDTA in it. It had phosphorus and it had citric acid. I said, awesome. So then what I did is I took a little a calcium magnesium pill. I had to drink half of it off because you get an explosion afterwards if you don't. So you put that in there. And it reacts and it breaks it down for you. And now you got the perfect electrolyte. You got the calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and the citric acid, which delivers this right into the cells and into the tissue. So you drink a half a bottle of that with this mix. Man, you were good. No cramping, nothing. You're great to go. Heart had everything it needed. Muscles had everything it needed. The bones had everything it needed. You're awesome. And on top of that, the calcium, the citric acid, and the magnesium were pulling the aluminum out of the body. So it was a win-win.
Oh my goodness. Jeez, that's one way to be able to get around the old problem with soft drinks.
Well, I mean, once you understand what you're getting and what you can, and there was a clear base, like, oh yeah, this is good. There's no cancer-causing crap in here. This is just basically citric acid, phosphoric acid, and water. Yeah, and some sugar. Well, I didn't care about the sugar. Was not a big issue with me because I figured with the other things it would activate the insulin properly, and it wouldn't have a problem. And then it had the EDTA in it, which acted as a delivery agent. So it delivered the calcium, magnesium right more directly with the citric acid. So, man, it was like a shotgun.
What,
in 2 seconds, man, no cramping.
The EDTA?
It had EDTA in it, yeah.
What?
Well, see, if you don't add the nutrients to this drink, what it does is it'll pull all this out of you. See, this is the sabotage here. So when you buy this pop, you got EDTA, citric acid, and phosphorus.
Okay.
Phosphorus pulls metal out of you just as well as citric acid. Citric acid will chelate metals or direct deliver metals in the system, but because it opens the tissues up, it allows the phosphorus to go in and pull the metal out of your body. Then when you're adding the sugar, it causes an insulin spike, which again further depletes the mineral source. But if you add the calcium, magnesium, and maybe potassium with it, now it does the opposite. It actually acts as a delivery method. So you just got to kind of know how to play the game with this.
Man, and you're really good at that stuff. I want to ask you about that bath. I found 2 different websites for you. Are both of those your websites? The healthaccess.wordpress.com. Is that yours as well?
That's a guy out in the United Kingdom.
Oh,
he's taking our stuff from our end and putting it across the Atlantic.
Oh.
Then we got the Augment in Force.
Okay.
That one there. If you go down there and you click on the YouTube recipe link, it's on the left side.
Okay, let me find that.
There's a lot of the videos that we've done. We start putting the recipes there, but we have a Nano bucket and we have the Nano solutions or Nano right below it. And if you click on that, that's a whole protocol to help people get to reduce this down to something manageable.
Okay, let me find that really quickly for you. YouTube recipe link is the...
Yeah, it's the link.
I can't find it on your homepage. Where is that? Let's see.
Hold on. Should be there. Hold on a second.
I want to make sure that we can get this in the show notes for people because it's good to have solutions here.
Well, that's what we try to do with our YouTube as well. When we tell people about the bad news, because I hate these gurus that come out here and they tell us all about the bad news and then they try to sell us some crap that isn't really going to do anything.
Right.
And then they're selling soy or some blue-green algae crap that isn't going to do. Blue-green algae, that's another one. That's another saboteur. It basically pulls the copper out of your body. And when the copper goes down, because copper is one of the best biocides you could ever take. And it'll protect you from microbial infections, bacterial infections, fungal infections, mold infections, algae infections. They have demonized copper because back in the 70s and 80s they had copper pipe in the homes. Well, that was the best thing you could have had, but what was happening was the copper was becoming more excessive and they weren't getting enough zinc. So what happened was the zinc-copper ratios were out of whack, and so all of a sudden copper was a poison. And without copper, you cannot regrow brain cells or brain connections to the cells. It's part of that whole acetylcholine connection and growth factor. So without that, you cannot, you become, again, a babbling fool after a while because your brain isn't connecting anymore. So this is one of the reasons why they told everybody don't use copper. And then you get all these people, they get all this, you can get copper poisoning. You can get this, well, hell, you're getting chemtrail poisoning. You're still alive, aren't you? So, I mean, they get caught up on some of the minutia of things, and I laugh at a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, we had a doctor on, Dr. Lawrence Wilson, who talks about the importance of copper. He does that, I forget what kind of testing he does.
Hair mineral analysis test.
Yeah, but he talks a lot about copper and all the necessary benefits of copper. And it's fascinating, isn't it?
Well, you have to have it, and this is one of the things that glyphosate strip out. Look, without copper, you cannot produce SOD. Copper and zinc produce SOD, superoxide dismutase.
Right.
It is like the top 3 antioxidants of the body. Without it, your eyes cannot purge out this chemtrail activity. Your lungs can't purge it out. Your liver can't work properly. It sustains and supports the glutathione levels in the body. So when we're talking today, some of the hullabaloo and the baloney that this industry promotes in order to, it's a scare tactic 99% of the time to get you to buy useless junk that isn't going to help you, or to give you stuff that's going to further deplete you, and making you more susceptible to becoming sick. It's almost like they've gone the same route as the medical field. The medical field has never cured nothing since the Second World War.
It's true.
And those who have found cures were either shut down, ostracized, or removed from the medical field. Like when they were bringing out the polio vaccine, there was actually a woman doctor that discovered 2 days before it was to be released that the pathogens actually lived in the mix of the vaccine, and they shut her down and eliminated her. Because that generation, which is my generation, we were from the post-war generation, and they had to introduce in our bodies junk DNA that was designed to create the anomalies we're facing today. So when you're looking at, and then again, as the generations have gone on, instead of using, again, supposedly dead cultures, now we're using nano delivery cultures, so which have the actual components actually alive. And then we start talking, adding 10 or 20 in a cocktail. There is absolutely no research on this to indicate in any way, shape, or form that there's any validity to the research. Mm-hmm. So when you're seeing some of this stuff, it's just pure nonsense. I'm putting the link into the Skype, so you have it just in case you can't find it.
You know what, Tony? I think that we found it at the top of the page. It says recipes for the YouTube vids, and then new links. And the first one is copper formulas. Is that the right page?
Well, let me see here. You're ahead of me now. Yeah, copper formulas. So if on the right side,
okay, cool.
Put down, you see nano solutions and you see anti-nano. And again, these are all formulas that we've given people that have seemed to be helping a lot of them work. The STS is one thing. I just found out something the other day about how the nanoparticles get into the colon, get embedded inside the colon where we actually absorb the food, stopping the absorption of the food. The sodium thiosulfate that we talk about on the YouTube will pull that out. That's another one that it's very potent. It's probably the best detoxifier I've ever seen. Majority of the stuff they're selling in the health food store, these fiber cleansers, and they do nothing but add more problems to the colon. This will strip out, like I said, if you see a UFO coming out of your backside, it's left the building. I mean, it pulls everything out. Everything.
I love that. That's funny. So with a lot of these protocols and things like this, I got to ask you, living in today's society, in today's culture, like you're saying, you're going to get exposure to any of these things just by breathing. What, do you follow a yearly protocol or monthly or daily things that you do every day to strip these things from your body?
I do. Every day. I'm even from the moment I get up. My coffee basically is a black coffee, but it's an instant. But what I do is I'll take a percolator. I percolate a bunch of herbs so that my ATP levels are up, my mitochondria levels are sustained. I'm adding creatine to my coffee. It's another one of those things that don't add creatine to your coffee because creatine won't work. That's a lot of nonsense because the first studies I've ever done on creatine were done with creatine and coffee, and they saw tremendous results. Creatine is probably the cheapest and easiest way to boost your ATP levels. You have to sustain your ATP. You have to sustain the myelin sheet.
Where do you get your creatine? What kind of creatine is it?
Just simple creatine monohydrate. That's it. You don't need all this other crap with the nitric oxide, blah, blah, blah. Well, creatine has arginine in it anyway. One of the three amino acids of creatine are methionine, arginine, and glycine. That's what makes up creatine. So when they're telling you they're adding citrulline, which is a waste of money, when you're adding more arginine to it, which is, again, a waste of money, it already has it in there. You don't need anything. The cheap $10 bucket of creatine will suffice just as easy as this $99,000 million creatine that they're selling you.
Okay, so you're adding that to your coffee in the morning.
I add it to my coffee. Well, like I said, my coffee consists of a tea brew that I put together. I've got hawthorn leaf, I've got nettle root, I've got what else did I put in there? I got 4 herbs I usually mix together. Sarsaparilla, again for the saponin content. I'll add, there's one other thing. I can't think of it right off the bat. And so I'll put them together, and then I'll percolate that for about 15, 20 minutes so that I get a real strong dose. Pour that into a cup. Then I'll add an ATP to my creatine with some AMP, iodine, zinc, and borax or boron to the drink. And stir it up. Add a little maple syrup to it, and away we go.
Interesting. Okay.
That's just, again, I'm looking at, what we have to look at today is sustaining the mitochondria and sustaining the myelin sheet. Without that, you're done. The other things you want to consider also maintaining, especially the woman that's with you there, Iodine.
Yeah.
Iodine is divine, and I use the Lugos. I don't get caught up in all. I mean, any of them will work. Iodine, Lugos, Iodoro, Iosol, Nascent, Atomidine, they will all work. I prefer the Lugos because that's when I've seen the most benefit of. I got somebody off of lithium using Lugos, and I've seen that cure more. I had one guy that was actually dying from an injection they gave him of a drug that the side effect was death. And it started shutting down his kidneys. He started having water retention. I got him on 20 drops 3 times a day. He did half the dose, and within a day it brought him back.
Oh my
He should be dead. So it's a lifesaver. But for you, because you're a woman, your breasts and your thyroid compete for iodine, and your breast and your cervix and your uterus and everything else has to convert the estrogens that you're releasing from estradiol to estriol to estriol. Iodine does this. Without it, you have endometriosis. Without this, you have ovarian cysts. Without this, you have cervical cancers. Iodine is very key to the female physiology. Males need it as well, but you need twice the amount because of the nature of your physiology. So
what is a good amount for a woman?
Sorry?
What is a good amount for a woman to be taking?
I just start 1 to 4 drops a day, and if you get hit with something, go up to 10 or 20 drops, in divided doses 3 times a day. Don't take it straight up. If you take Lugo straight up, you'll only do it once. It'll burn the blazes out of you. So anyway, but to mix it with water or a tea or a coffee, and down it goes.
Okay.
Interesting. Well,
I've been adding a lot of that back in lately, and let me tell you, I feel like it's so strange. I've had times, I think I've told you, where I actually feel like a lump in my throat. I will feel my thyroid. It's the most bizarre thing, and when I'm consistently taking iodine, it goes away. It's very odd.
Yeah.
Wow.
Make sure you take. Now the males need selenium more than women, but you both need selenium to regulate the iodine levels in the thyroid. But males need, especially if you're sexually active, because every time you have sex or intercourse, there goes your selenium out the door to protect the seed.
Okay.
So make sure the selenium levels are up with the males. That's another one that also, believe it or not, the iodine and the selenium regulate the heart rate.
Really?
So, it's a huge heart regulator. So, when you got these people saying they got palpitations, I mean, the first 3 things I give them are taurine, magnesium, and potassium, but right after that is iodine and selenium.
Huh.
Interesting. So that regulates the actual the beating of the heart.
Yep. It's without it, you're all screwed up. And majority of the women usually are palpitating a lot. So that's because of the iodine deficiency.
Yeah, I believe that.
Interesting. Now, a lot of our guests have said that being on the West Coast out here, closer to Fukushima, we need more iodine. Would you agree with that?
Fukushima will never reach us in a million years. That's another big pile of hooey.
Really?
Well, we like that. I like detractors. This is good. So what do you have to say about Fukushima?
It will never reach us. Japan is foobarred. Okay?
I love it.
Japan is foobarred. The radioactive material did not go airborne.
Yeah, that's what they said, right?
Okay, now heavy water. Tell me how heavy water floats. Somebody will kindly explain to me how heavy water floats. It doesn't float. It goes straight down. So the seaweed in the ocean will filter that out. It's got to cross. Now think about this for 1 second. 1 second. Korea and Vietnam are right beside Japan. They are closer to Japan than we are. Do you hear of anybody dying of any radioactive material in Korea or Vietnam? No.
Right.
I don't know.
No, not that I've heard of.
Not that I've heard.
No.
Yeah.
Do you have you heard anybody from Australia, New Zealand? They're a lot closer.
Right.
No. Have you heard anybody on the east coast of China or the southeast coast of Russia dying? No. All hokey.
So
it's got to go through 8,000 miles of jet stream current in the Pacific Ocean. That will never reach us. I'll tell you what your problem is in California, though.
What is our problem?
United States and Canada orchestrated an iron dumping along the west coast so that the HAARP technology will work underwater. So what happened was you had all this fish and crap dying because of the iron poisoning in the ocean. That you have going on over there because if you notice, the Navy in your area is out in the ocean firing those HARP beams along the west coast of California. All this supposed drought and all this weather crap you got going on is from the experimentation with this iron in the coastline. And that's been known for years.
The iron.
Well, there was that weird, strange, sort of bizarre light in the sky. Remember that about a couple months ago up in L.A.? No, it was caught on YouTube, and people were talking about it. It was reported on the news. It was just weird, bizarre. Was it a flash, or did it keep going for a long time?
It kept going, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably one of those things you're talking about.
If they had fired that HARP, if they fired the HARP on there, again, you get the iron in the... Why do you think the core exit was dumped into the Gulf of Mexico? Okay, it dispersed the oil, so now the Gulf isn't even moving. This is one of the reasons why we're having these weird weather freak things, because the Gulf Stream from the Gulf of Mexico goes all the way to the UK, and because they stopped it from flowing, even the weather in the United Kingdom has gotten a lot colder as a result. Even the west coast of the United States, where it goes up along the east coast of the United States and Canada, has gotten colder. The jet stream now that goes up from Alaska down into Canada, into the United States, used to stop at the northern states like Montana or what's the one below it? Anyway, and then go right across down into the Carolinas. Now it's going all the way down into Texas because the jet stream, the heat from the jet stream, would have kept the colder air up into the northern Canadian region. But it's not, because it's not moving, it's coming all the way down. So like I said, when you're really looking at a lot of the things, that Fukushima is a lot of horse hockey. You
can say the word. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if anything, it promotes fear and terror and this whole sort of victim mindset. So you can see why they'd promote that.
And again, if you're not really looking at, like I said, you see anybody from Korea saying, "Oh, my thyroid fell out. Oh, I got breast cancer. Oh, my brains are on fire." Oh, geez, no. You see anybody from Vietnam saying, "Oh my gosh, my thyroid just left the building." No, I got ovarian cancer. No, you don't hear this. But the Japanese, on the other hand, 40% of the population have thyroid cancer. Yeah, they pretty well got it. They're done. They basically have wiped out a whole generation of people in that area. So the next year there won't be a well, they're not making babies now as it is. I mean, they're now spending all their money on pet supplies and pet clothing for their pets. But with this hitting them, this is basically, it's just like 3 years ago, they were burning the radioactive waste off the coastline of the Ukraine and Russia. Well, all that radioactive material went up in the air. That went airborne, and that went across Europe. Now, that would have taken years to get across to North Atlantic, but that would have hit the Northeast predominantly, not the West Coast. So, again, a lot of this is just pure on a lot of it. So you have to sort of read it and not get caught up on the whole. I'm Mediterranean, for one thing, and I don't believe nothing anyway unless I have substance to validate it. Yeah. If Christ stood in front of me, I want to see some ID to make sure it's him. That's just the way it is. Because we've got so much baloney going on today, I want to see some ID. So that's how it is. So when I look at a lot of things that I'm hearing today on the disasters, like this whole ISIS thing, that's another crock of nonsense too.
Oh yeah. The San Bernardino shootings and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's all either MK Ultra crap or whatever, and it's a setup so that you can take away your guns. Because if you take away your guns, God forbid that the government is going to protect you. I mean, the reason why Americans have guns is to protect them from the government.
Right.
That was the thing that I said this on one of the radio shows I talked about. The problem with America is the checks and balances have been removed. The checks and balances have never been the three branches of government. That's been the big lie that they taught in the educational system. The judicial branch, legislative branch, executive branch are the checks and balances.
Right.
The check and balance of the American government was the people. And because it was a government for the people, by the people, of the people. So this was the only system ever set up anywhere on the planet that had this check and balance. This is why the right to bear arms was always there, because that was the check and balance to make sure the government did not become a tyrannical government that it is today.
Yeah.
So when they separated the people from the government, this is why the United States government has gone rogue, because the check is no longer there to balance it out. And that's why the U.S. is in a situation. Canada has never had this. Canada, we've always had a rogue government. All it takes is the banks decide who's going to be our prime minister, and then the corporations decide what they want done in the country. That's how it goes.
You just call it like it is. We pretend like we have the checks and balances. That's the difference.
Yeah. No, we don't. No country on the world has ever had that perspective. And they've been working on taking that away since the early 1920s, and they've succeeded. Mm-hmm. I mean, the crap they're teaching in the school system today, 30 years ago, would never have happened. Captain Diaper and some other stupid crap they're teaching now kids in kindergarten. They're not teaching them about but botany. They're not teaching them about mathematics. They're not teaching them about sciences. They're not even teaching them anything on the level of spirituality. Now we're learning about homosexuality and how this is going to be an accepted behavior. And we're teaching this now to kindergartners, which up the road is going to lead to laws and legislation for pedophilia to be a normal response. Because this is where it's going. Mm-hmm. And people don't realize this. And when you're seeing this, some of the trends, it reminds me of Rome and Greece and some of the other ones just before they fell. This is how low they got to before they were wiped out. So I think everybody needs to wake up on this if we're going to save any country, including Canada, the United States, or anywhere, because this is the level of stupidity has never been this low. Talking health, vitamins and stuff, and nobody's reading the other ingredients in the vitamins, which are polymer material or metallic material or estrogenically based materials. And people say, "Oh, I'm taking my vitamins," or you're going out and buying food, and you're reading a label saying that it's got X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, and poison, and you still buy it.
Right. Yeah. Right. Got to wake people up. Got to keep people awake and let them know what's really going on. We didn't even get into the story of how you got into health. Maybe we'll have to do that next time. I love what you're doing, teaching a lot of people about how to do these things, and you're coming up with actual solutions on your YouTube channel. So we'll put a link to that so people can actually go and watch. I mean, you're a YouTube star, and you've got hundreds and hundreds of videos on there, and so. I really love what you're doing over there. It's really great.
Well, we tried. We saw the Agenda 21 about 5 or 6 years ago coming into the game, and we realized that eventually all these health food. See, the United States will never lose their vitamins, never lose them. But what's going to happen there is they're going to reduce them down to next to nothing, and they're going to add so much crap into them to neutralize or negate any effect that people will be thinking they're taking something as a placebo. And it's already happening that people are buying stuff that in today's time, 20 years ago, if you bought some of these things back then, were actually curing people and healing people, fixing them, repairing them, restoring them. So notice I'm using these words because they are still in the dictionary.
Right.
So again, when we're looking at some of the stuff today, a lot of the stuff I'm still using is old school by comparison today. You don't see me pushing some of these super high antioxidants like xanthanum, which costs you an arm and a leg, and a lot of times it's mixed with either canola or soybean oil anyway, so it's garbage. I still use an old basic CQ10, 60 to 100 milligram strength. I add it to my own fat, and away we go. And I'll add black pepper to it and a little limonene from, let's say, essential oil of lemon. And now I've got something that's high-end, going to be in my system for quite some time, going to regulate my ATP levels, and my heart's happy, my brain's happy because it's removing the lipofusion out of my head. And I got something that's going to keep the mitochondria going and going. So, I mean, like I said, it's all about how we play and tweak. And so when we're looking at today, and when I'm showing you today on a lot of this stuff, I'm just showing you how to defend yourself, because if the day comes when you can't get access to supplements, or the supplements are just plain worthless, well, by that time you'll have your own indoor grow-op going with your herbs and your food, and then you can just go and take and harvest whatever you want. You can concentrate. The next one we're going to show is how to take a extract and concentrate it down to an oil, so that when you take it, you only need a drop, because the magnification of that is like tenfold. So this is another thing we'll be showing, so that you can, so if you want to make your own cannabis oil, for instance, you can make it this way as well. So those who people who have cancer, so we can show them how to, go out in the street, buy your herb. Well, out there, maybe you guys have access to marijuana and you can grow it there. I don't know. Every state is different. But if you can grow it, harvest it, and show you how to make your own oil. And then you just, again, now if you want to, while you're making oil, if you want to add CQ10 to it, a little BHT, knock yourself out. Now you've got antioxidants to go with the cannabis. So there's lots of ways you can.
Lots of cool stuff. Lots of options that people have sort of forgot about because they've been sort of turned on to all these sort of high-end stuff. But there's lots of stuff that you're doing on the cheap that is really more pure, that's helping the body even better. So anyway, thanks, Tony, for being on the show today. I'm so glad that we were able to connect with you and
twice,
yeah, and share your that's right.
Thank God.
And share your work with our listeners. I appreciate that.
Not a word. Listen, I'm glad you had me on. Thank you. Like I said, if you want to do it again, let me know, and we'll do it again. Like I said, I would definitely encourage you guys to go on my main site and look at the last two links we got on there. It will be called, let me use 1 second.
Yeah,
I think I sent the link anyway. But anyway, it'll be the engineered nano materials exposure hazards and risk prevention and nanotech safety guidelines. These are the last two. But if you look at that whole array down below where you'll see nano dangers, quantum dots, nano data, nano crystals, glyphosates. If you want to know some information about glyphosates, when you look at that, you'll be more than informed. Nanotoxicology 1 and XNA, that's something that we could have talked about too, but that's something you may want to look at. Basically, it's the same as DNA, except the sugar molecule is different, and what it does is it can take a copy of your template, and if you add something to the XNA, it goes right in without any challenge because it looks just like you.
Wow. This is crazy. I'm looking at some of the photos here too of what you're talking about on your website. I'll make sure to put these in the show notes too about the quantum dots and all this stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mind officially blown.
I know, right? Let's do this again, Tony, because you've got so much great information. I'd love to delve deeper, maybe into specific subjects or whatever you think would be good, because I just love what you're doing.
Pick a subject. And again, my site, feel free to download anything you want off the site. It's all free.
Okay.
I don't need your credit card. I don't need your personal information. Go there, get it, download it. I would store it somewhere. You know, the life you save might be your own.
Right.
Oh, good Lord.
You know, and as you can see, I'm pretty straight out. I don't right off the cuff. So now that I know I can be a little more liberal with my language with you guys, that's good too. So I mean, we can tell it like it is.
Tell it like it is.
You know. Yeah. So, but yeah, feel free. Like I said, look at the stuff. It's going to overwhelm you. It's going to scare the blazes out of you. Which is okay. It means that your soul is still intact and your brain is still active and alive. But like I said, what I put out here on the front is basically indicating what you're dealing with. And then in the YouTube recipe links, this is where I show you the solutions or give you some solutions. I just gave you one earlier today. If you're going to buy any kind of berry, juice it. I do not know yet how to take it out of the fiber, if it can be taken out. But if you juice it, cut it with a little oil, blend it for about 2 minutes, let it sit so it'll separate, and then pour out. When you pour it out, the oil will go to the back of the container. You may have a little oily film, which is okay. It isn't going to kill you, but at least the nano is now going to be removed. So this is one less load you're putting into your body.
Okay. I like that. We'll put links to that too on the website, on the show notes.
That's wonderful.
Well, good stuff. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate your time today. Love what you're doing. This is so cool. Let's set up another time and we'll do this again.
Sounds good. All right, listen, thanks for having me. You guys have a great day, eh?
Okay,
you too.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you. Stay warm.
Care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, Tony Pantalleresco, talk about a ball of fire, man.
That was hilarious.
He's great.
I love it.
I've been very much familiar with his work for a long time, but
that must have been fun to talk to him. I know. I feel like a bunch of people have written in over the years over at least the last couple of years, asking for us to have him on. So
yeah,
it's an honor. He is great.
There's so many things that he says. Like what did he say about? Like I can't call him on everything because it would detract from the overall gist. But remember he was talking about how the people in Japan are spending all their money on dog clothes.
Pet clothes.
like I don't know what he was talking about. Like if he was here in person, it would be much easier to say what? I don't know what that means.
I don't know where he went off on that too, but I laughed. I thought that was great.
Isn't that funny?
He is a kick, man.
What is it about like
interesting about his take on Fukushima too, huh?
Yeah, I've got a question about alternative and natural health people. Mm-hmm. Why is it that most people that are involved in natural health are also more prone to conspiracy type information.
Yeah, I know.
That's bizarre, right? I mean, I agree with him on all of that stuff, but it's just interesting that I don't know what I agree with because I haven't looked at any studies. I don't know the actual content of what's coming out of those planes. I don't know. I've watched documentaries. I've read stuff, but I don't know. Right. I've never done any physical personal testing.
Well, like he said, that's the best part of the whole show. If Jesus showed up, he'd want to see his ID.
That was awesome.
But that's the kind of thing that he's saying. I mean, it's basically like we don't know unless we can see with our own eyes and actually like have some proof of anything. That's all we have to go off of our people's theories and things that are thrown at us. So I don't know.
But what about the Fukushima stuff? I mean, but you know what the thing is though? It's like, man, like I was going to say, what about the people in the news that have talked about, remember how they're talking about how there's been particulation of the radiation coming in from the jet stream, coming down Seattle and Oregon and down the coast of California. But then I realized, like, what's my source for that? It's the mainstream news. I remember watching that on the news.
Mainstream after. Down the jet stream.
So it's like, I got to realize, wow, where did I get that from? I got that from the news. And if it's weird. Like, even though I understand that the news is just a theater, I got to go back and remind myself, where did I get that idea?
Yeah, totally.
And so maybe that's why he doesn't believe any of it. But he would ask Jesus for his ID.
Oh my gosh. I had to turn my head. I was laughing so hard. I thought that was great. He's all, if Christ himself stood in front of me, I want to see his ID.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Interesting, like, though, in our local papers and stuff, we've seen, like, a bunch of sea life washing up, including seals and people supposedly, again, I don't know, I haven't done it myself, but cutting these sea life open and measuring what kind of stuff's coming out of them and what kind of radiation they're giving off.
Where have I heard that recently?
Well, our own local town had some kind of article about the sea life washing up by the power plant. So you wonder if that might not be a Fukushima thing. That could be a power plant on the beach, and the water. I wouldn't want to be surfing right next to that thing for long periods of time. But it's interesting what he said about the iron. Was it iron? Iron in the water?
From the Fukushima, you mean?
No, what he said we are getting from them dropping. What was the metal he said was in the water at the end?
That's right. I'm going to have to go back and listen. He talks so fast.
Oh, gosh.
What was
totally blanking. Whatever it was, though, I thought, well, too much of that can't be a good thing either. I mean, we're swimming in there. People are, gulping it. Animals, sea life it has to be affected by this heavy metal. No matter what, there sounds like there's, a big metal problem, whether it's in our water, dropping from our sky, getting into our food supply. It's really discouraging about the organic stuff.
Yeah, because why was he saying? Because it was being sprayed on by pesticides and
you're still getting the nano whatevers
particles from the
water.
From the water, and then the chemtrails that are and then well, I never really heard of that smart dust. That was bizarre.
Smart.
I mean,
dust.
It makes sense. I've heard of smart everything, but
right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I don't like when he was talking about the organics being a bunch of hooey, as he would say, as my mom would say too. I love that. Adam Bergstrom that we had on the last show talked about this gray water joke. How they're basically watering everything with this gray water / recycled water. None of this water is safe, and it's causing the problem. So, I mean, even if you think about the organics, without the nano problem, you're thinking they're not saying that they're watering organic orchards or vegetables with filtered or natural spring water. I mean,
there's municipal water.
You're pulling up into these items or produce or whatever you want to call it. You're pulling all that matter up into them, and we're absorbing that anyway. So I don't know. The whole thing. It's
he's not a big
crazy.
fan of Mr. David Wolf. I love David Wolf.
That's funny.
I think he's great. But one of the things that David Wolf was saying was that a lot of things that people don't realize is what they are kneading the wheat with. So like when people eat bread, that bread was at one point kneaded. And what water are they using to knead that bread? It's going to be bread that has nanobacteria and these nanoparticles that Tony's talking about, and calcium-forming organisms, and gray water, and pharmaceutical homeopathic residues of like chemotherapy and this stuff. And so it's like, when people are eating bread, they're not realizing that they're most likely getting all this stuff. And so, but it's funny because it's like I gotta dig deeper into his work because I gotta find solutions. And I think that he's doing that on YouTube. He's doing a lot of videos about how to do stuff, which is cool.
Interesting, isn't it? I'm glad there's some solutions, because I like how he's like, you might scare the living daylights out of you. It might seem all doom and gloom, but I always love that big but in there,
Yeah. At least you have some choices.
And I like how he's like very practical about, hey, if the government stops, if and when they stop allowing us to have our supplements and things like that, what else can we do with non-supplement forms of things? And that's what I like about him. He offers something else, because if the day comes where you're not able to get a hold of some of this stuff or order it from any country, or, okay, well, then you know how to make a bath and get stuff out of your feet, pull things out, like it's actually pretty encouraging.
You almost got to, if you really want good food, you almost got to like have tarps and grow your own food.
Have your own spring.
Control your soil, filter your water. Put tarps over it and grow it in your backyard. So
know what kind of seeds you're using, where these things come from.
Yeah, and then putting rock dust and compost and diluted seawater and these types of minerals into the soil in order to really control. Because that way you're getting all the good stuff too, but then you're not getting any of that stuff. You got to really water your garden with good water.
Yeah. Yeah. Same with watering the garden of your mind.
Yeah, that's true too.
Water that with good stuff, because it's not all. If you do focus on the doom and gloom, then that's not a good place either. So
yeah, an interesting guy, right?
Yeah, very interesting guy.
Golly,
really like him. He's really fascinating.
He says more words in about 30 seconds than I say in about 5 minutes.
Oh, totally. And I can attest to that. Yeah. You guys are complete opposite.
Yeah,
it makes for a really fun show.
It's hard to get a word in, but
right.
Well, hopefully that was a good introduction. We should have him on again. Do you like him? You want to have him on again?
Love that.
Yeah, he's a real firecracker, but I don't know. I'll say this because we're going to end the show, but I'll say this, that I do like what even though he's got doom and gloom, he has solutions.
Right.
And what I like is he's not selling anything.
Mm-hmm. I know. And
that's actually really cool.
And he's kind of poking fun at the people that are selling things.
But that doesn't mean, though, that those
things don't work.
Yeah, that what these other people are promoting isn't good unless the science proves it out. But just because someone sells something,
yeah,
you're
right.
Not necessarily bad, but could be a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
Good, interesting guy though, right?
Very interesting guy.
So we'll put a link to his website. This was episode 409,
yep.
Right? Like the cleaner?
Yeah, 409. With the nano cleaner?
The nano glyphosate cleaner.
Yeah, right.
Episode 409. So we'll put the links to the show notes, and we thank all you guys for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Pass this show on to your friends if you think anyone would like the things that we talked about. And don't forget, all of our shows are free. We're 100% listener supported, and it does cost us quite a bit of money to run the show, and we do this full time. So your donations through Patreon and PayPal do support us. So that's how we pay for our food. That's how we pay for our rent and all that good stuff. So your support is very much appreciated. So if you want to donate, you can do that. You can donate like 25 cents an episode. $1 a month would be huge. And if you guys all did that, it would really change everything we're doing here.
The landscape of Extreme Health Radio.
Yeah, we could hire more people, do more shows. We could do a lot of stuff. So
right.
If you guys want to do that. Also, what you can do too is bookmark our Amazon link and use the bookmark every time you purchase there, because that would support us, and we'll get a little commission every time you order there on Amazon. So that's another way. But if you can't do any of that stuff, check out our store or just pass the show on to your friends. If you follow us on Facebook, share our posts on Facebook. That would be huge.
Yes. I was going to say, and if you know Jesus himself, pass it on to him.
Yeah. Let him know about us.
After he shows you his ID.
Tell him about what we're doing.
Make sure he is who he says he is, and then let him know what we're doing.
That's funny.
All in good fun.
All right, everybody. Episode 409. You can grab the show notes, extremehealthradio.com/409. We're going to be going out of here, so we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Hey, everybody. This is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted as a diagnosis of any disease, nor an attempt to treat or prevent any disease or condition. While information in this blog is discussed in the context